Doop, 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 doop. Oh, yeah. This Hangout on air is live. Thank you for joining us today on this great, great day, the Cinco de Mayo. Woo!
Resurrection of F.
Hit your local Taco Bell for some authentic Mexican food.
All out sick
Authentic.
tomorrow.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That was bad. That was bad. Um, so this is the 2019 spring lineup. We're just going to be doing this one video, so we'll try to cover as many titles as we can. So this may last a little longer. Who knows? Maybe end up sooner. We'll have a few others joining us later tonight, Albert and Sean, hopefully. But today, right now, we got Nick.
Ski.
Okay, I don't know if you're talking about the moon, but
It's a ski.
oh. Oh, okay. We have Vincent with us again.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And of course, myself, the also lovable Tenkun. Kind
I like the hesitation. You didn't know what to call yourself.
He just woke up, so
Yeah, I just woke up. Today we're going to start off with not with a series title right now. We're just going to start off with the movie. Kind of with this title card I chose for us is the Penguin Highway movie that came out about 2 weeks ago, right?
yeah.
In the
But
middle of April. Released different days for across the country, so it's really hard to say who got it when and where. But I was able to watch it during my vacation and invited a few friends and had a lot of fun. It was something I had no idea what to expect. And the only thing I read up on it was that it was a what was it a comedy and kind of like a coming of age type movie, right?
yeah,
So um, yeah, I didn't even know it was. Is it? You said it was from Momoto Hosoda?
no. It's not, but it feels that way. The
Oh, okay.
overall presentations.
Okay, I heard you say that name earlier when we were talking, so that's why I was kind of confused. I was like, I
Mhm.
didn't think it was, but
No,
I don't know who it's from then. So maybe
it's
Nick, you can look that up for us while we're talking about it. See who made it. But it was really really fun. What did you think of it, Vincent?
I mean, I threw out the Hosoda's name because of the when you watch the movie, it kind of gives that feel of a whole everyday situation, laying out a lot like what Hosoda would usually do. And I think the book is written by the same writer who also wrote the Night is Young, Walk on Girls. Obviously, it's done by different directors, so that's why they don't look anything like each other. And I saw the preview, and I'm just like, okay, it's got a penguin, and I like penguins, so why don't I go see it? And then, so that was unlike Nick, I like penguins, so I was okay with that. Um, it was pleasant, and the main character probably could have come up as an obnoxious if he didn't start with a disclaimer that this is the character that he's going to be. So I found it to be okay. So he's very upfront about what he's going to do or say or be about. So and I'm gonna leave a tank to bring out the main subject of the better part of the movie.
Yeah, yeah. To me, this show is great. I invited a few friends that I haven't seen in forever during my vacation, and we all went there. And to my surprise, like I said, I had no idea what the show was about, but all I got from it was opie. The show is about breast, all about breast, and penguins on the side. Oh man, but that's a kid for you, right? That's
Well, yeah.
so.
Uh,
He was just at the end of his elementary, or did he actually start middle school? I can't remember, but he is pretty young, and he declares that his love is for the teacher, right?
Teacher? No, she's in love with the lady who works in the dental office.
Oh yeah, that's right. Dental. Okay, sorry, it's been a while. Oh, just in case, spoilers. If you haven't seen this, we're definitely going to be talking about spoilers. But yeah, she was a dental, and he had a loose tooth, and he would go and visit her.
Hmm.
But you could tell what kind of drew his attention when he was with her, which was just hilarious in how he would talk about it. And
He talks about it, he writes about it, he draws about it, he mentions about it ever so often. And I was like, oh my goodness.
yeah, it was amazing how much this focus was in the show, and it made for great laughs. Because, like I said, I didn't expect anything except for maybe like a little kids show, but
Mhm.
having that thrown around was just kind of hilarious, especially with my immature group of people that just had to keep on making all sorts of weird comments throughout the show.
I think the whole gag worked because it was implicit about it, but never actually tried to be explicit. He talks about it in great deals, and the lady knows about what his obsession is, and she's being very good sport about it. So she kind of let the boy be the boy without leading him astray. Well, kind of sort of, but I think that worked because they were being implicit about it. If it was a bit more explicit, then I don't think it would really had that fun impact.
Yeah, it wasn't like pervy at all. It was just good humor, I think,
Hmm.
and it played along with also penguins, right? We
Yeah.
got to talk about the penguins and all about Penguin Highway.
I mean, it's like halfway through the movie, you kind of figure out what those penguins are supposed to be, and everything kind of all throws into the big mess of a whole what's going to happen in the second part of it. So it's not. I don't think it's really complicated or too overwrought in conspiracy per se, but
Yeah, it was very simple. It wasn't like we gotta have you try to figure out everything by putting all the hints together.
mhm.
It was very linear in the storytelling and showing you how it got to that point. And the hints that did pit throughout the show were easily to grasp, and it just made it real fun because it wasn't like you had to sit there and think hard about everything that was going on. It was just you watch it, you had fun, and then as kids be kids, you get to enjoy this colorful show
I
or
think
movie, I should say.
yeah, I think this focus was based on the, I guess, at the level of a kids grade school kids level. They were not trying to be overly complicated, or even if they're thinking they are being very mature or complicated, but for the viewer's point of view, it's pretty straightforward, knowing that that's what they really perceive as to be, not something from grown up narrating it and trying to make it worse than what it's supposed to.
Mhm.
I mean, it still doesn't explain why in the Earth all this penguins turns from whatever else and just litter the whole place. But that's just I'm trying not gonna think too much about that.
Yeah. Um, but that kid's way of thinking just amazes me, and also his note taking. It's like I would never have the discipline to do that, and it amazed me with what they did. One thing I was surprised about when I watched the very end to the credits, that the ending song was by Utada Hikaru. And also, if you were watching the credits, it had a lot of listings of this different studios and that helped. And I saw Studio Wit's name in there, so that was kind of cool. Like, what? Those guys helped in this?
I guess they finally had some time left.
And so,
I didn't personally like the ending credits song too much. I thought she was a little too milking it because I don't think the movie was all that kind of a sad tone to it, but she kind of went on and on for a while.
mhm. But I didn't have like little penguins doing random stuff throughout the credits that were kind of funny.
Hmm.
So it's a movie I would highly recommend, especially for a good time with a group of people. It's you can enjoy it yourself easily, but with some friends, um, it's just even more fun.
I
I
think if you're half drunk, I think you'll have even bigger laughs out of it.
think. Make a drinking game out of it anytime you see a penguin. But there's a lot of mysteries, a lot of things going on, and it's just um, it makes me. I think it says it sources from a novel, so I might want to check out that book and see what it's really about. I know when I watched what was it called? I Want to Eat Your Pancreas was the last one I think I saw.
Ah, I want to eat your
Um,
pancreas.
yeah, when I left, I felt it was a good movie, but with this, I felt it was a good movie, but I left happy and was excited.
Mm.
Hey, technically, the last movie you saw before or like after Pancreas should have been the Fate Stay movie part 2.
So I'm ignoring that right now because that one made me feel really bad.
Doesn't matter. You still watched it.
I don't know.
Got him.
So I'm happy that there's a lot of movies coming out. We're actually missing the Code Geass movie right now, I think, right? The subbed version, at least. If we want to get the dub, we can watch it, I think, later this week.
Never paid too much attention to that franchise, so I'm kind of skipping that one.
I watched like the first season. Well, that and some of not the reboot films, but like the spin-off films, the Akito the Exiled.
And isn't there also another movie coming out later this or 2 weeks or something?
Sure. I don't know. I showed you all the movies coming out like a while ago.
Yeah, I
Last
forgot. I don't have Discord open, or else I would pop it up and check out the list. But if you ever visit our Discord, we have them all listed there. So let's go ahead and move on to our first title of the season, the highly anticipated, what everyone has been waiting for and wishing,
Attack on Titan 3.
One Punch Man.
I knew it was next.
So One Punch Man Season 2. Now, I'm not one to watch trailers, but I was kind of forced to watch this one by some friends because they were like, "Oh, you got to see this." And everyone was so disappointed when they saw the trailers. Different style, it seemed, and also it had a lot of black screens throughout the trailer, so a lot of it was blacked out. So they were kind of worried about how it would turn out. So after I went and sat down and actually got to watch One Punch Man, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. So I'm actually okay with it. Because I was actually expecting a train wreck, but it didn't happen that way. But still, it does kind of seem like it's lost some of its flair from the first season. So, what about you, Nick? Since you didn't get to talk about the last film, what did you think of One Punch Man?
As I said, like kind of when season 1 ended, it was the universe that, well, not the universe, but it, the the backdrop of One Punch Man that really had me kind of interested into the series. How normal people kind of coexist with people who could get like crazy power out of nowhere, whether it be like you spent your life training or developed DSP powers. I did like the comedy of like the way he fought villains, and while it's not really established how much they're going to do of that this season yet, I will say that yeah, we noticed that there's a lot less, flashy action scenes, but I'm so far pretty happy with the content that I've been shown. It it was kind of funny to me because like there's a character who's looking to be a villain, and although he's human, he kind of wants to be considered a monster, and he's going after heroes. And like shortly into the story, like they start talking about karate because martial arts was involved with this, and it like almost came out of left field for One Punch Man. He was like, "What, martial arts? Why haven't I heard of this stuff before? I'm gonna go look into it now." I'm like, "Really, really, dude? Like, karate, like any of the things, like you just never heard of martial arts or considered looking into it before. Now all of a sudden your interest." Um, I thought that was done a little bit poorly, but I do kind of like where it's going, where he kind of, because we know like the story of One Punch Man is that he's like really really strong and he doesn't get to cut loose and fight villains too often. This is just kind of like another pursuit of his to kind of fill that gap of being bored. So I am looking forward to how this like overall arc ends, and I don't know if that's going to be all of season 1 because it's kind of what it seems like it wants to do. In One Punch Man season 1, it was like almost like a villain of the week kind of a thing where there wasn't really an overarching kind of story, and that's what they seem to be doing in One Punch Man 2. And while plenty of villains are showing up in between, it's just there wasn't as much of a main like antagonist bad guy that was lasting through at least the first 3 episodes in like episode 1 or season 1. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to where it goes. As I was saying, the comedy seems to has not like died down a lot, but at least when it comes to the fighting flashy action, it's not as comedic. But I kind of want to see like give them a chance to kind of fill in that gap with something.
Has anyone read the manga or
Yeah, yeah,
so?
Not personally.
I
So we're
did.
gonna be because of this next arc. I think we're gonna be seeing a lot more of the heroes
Hmm.
and seeing all their abilities, and it kind of makes me a little saddened because it seems like during this whole arc until you get to the end, the focus is no longer on Saitama; it's on Garo and everyone else.
Yeah.
So um, I don't know how I want to go about watching this show. I may just wait until near the end, but
I recommend watching all the odd episodes first, then go back and do all the evens. That's how you should be watching the show.
but overall, it's like I said, I was expecting a train wreck, but it didn't happen, so it's decent for me right now. Vincent, what about you?
Let's see. I think the storyline wise, it's following pretty faithful to the manga itself. Um, Having said that, as to why our Baldy Cape didn't really realize about all this martial art thing, even though he spent enough time with Master Bang all this time is, well, that was kind of the same thing with the manga too. So it's not really fault of the animation studio.
Oh yeah, no,
Or
I wasn't faulting them with it. It was more of a character thing.
yeah, and I know that from season 1 to season 2, they transition over from Madhouse to JC Step, I believe. Um, Despite all those faults that Madhouse has with their workers and their hectic schedules and all those big names departing last couple of years and whatnot, to me, they always seem to be able to pull together in a fine color for whatever reasons. And I generally am okay with JC Step. So when I first saw the first episode of this new season, I was like, "Oh, this is really underwhelming." I don't know why. I mean, I understand the studio changes and all the. I'm sure the designer and everybody changed their hands too. But that was a little unsettling. I think it lost a bit of a color, and not necessarily because of the storyline progression either. That's my take on it. As for how it's going, and it's probably gonna follow along the line of whatever is laid down on manga. I think the only thing I can point out so far is that at the end of the season 1, when they had this whole big battle thing going on at the alien spaceship, that was sort of forced introduction from the studio, I believe, because I don't think they had any idea whether they're gonna actually have a season 2 or not. So I think kind of they want to have the conclusions instead of just to be continued and let them hang there. Because in manga, there was really never that aliens, overlords invading the Earth and having that unfolding that early. So they kind of assume that that never happened, pretty much, even though it's there. Well, that's for me.
Hey, Albert.
Hello.
Did you watch One Punch Man?
No.
Oh, okay. That's what we're talking about right now.
Did you watch Penguin Highway? Because that's the only other thing we covered.
Have not.
Oh, sad face. But yeah. I'll probably keep on watching One Punch Man, but it's probably not going to be like my every week type of show. I may just wait and try to catch a little bit later here and there. Isn't it on High Dive or something like that? Or not High Dive, but streaming on one of those H sites. I can't remember. Hulu, that's it. It's streaming on Hulu. So
that's what you meant by one of those H sites. I'm like, what are you talking about?
So I was able to watch it while hanging out with my friends because they had Hulu account. I don't have one, so I'll probably wait and then get myself that free subscription so I can finish watching it. And then stay up to date with some other titles that I really like. But since Albert's here, let's talk about this great isekai title. Kenja no Mago.
I was wondering if you were going to change it to something he wanted it to do. I was like,
well, isekai, we got to bring Albert in.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, well, you're missing out, bud.
So I hear.
So, isekai, yeah, it's everyone's favorite topic. Actually, I went to a panel in SakuraCon about shoujo isekai stories back in the 90s, and that was really fun. I didn't know there was that many titles that were isekai that were made way back in the day. But continuing on with the trend of isekai, we got, what's it called? Kenja no Mago. And I actually read a web novel version of this back in the day, and they called it Merlin's Grandson.
What? Okay.
And at first I was like, what? This is going to be interesting. Is it going to be like Arthur and all that stuff? But nope, it was just weird isekai show. So there is also a manga out there. It's pretty far along, so there's a lot of ways you can get introduced into the show. So now that we have the anime, you can have fun and watch along with everyone else and see how it turns out. And all I can say is from the manga to this, it's so weird because the characters, although they have the same traits, the character designs are different from the manga. So I'm expecting them to look one way, and then I start watching the show. I'm like, what? This is so weird.
I think someone came home.
It throws me off every single time I start watching this. But So Vincent, you want to take us with this at the start of it?
Oh, maybe. Does Vincent want to?
No, you go ahead first.
Woo! So, as you know, I mostly kind of go into shows really, really blind. I don't look into what they are at the beginning of the season or any kind of what's coming out. True to its form, it's the traditional type of isekai show that Albert hates. You've got a guy who gets reincarnated into another world with all of his past memories. In the world that he gets reincarnated to, there's magic. The magic is a pretty developed system, but apparently, I might like mute a whole bunch. Someone just came home, so it might be like random bunches of noise. But one thing that he likes about this world is he could envision magic. Like as long as he's got a strong enough mental image, it just kind of happens according to the mental image. But a lot of other people learn magic by like shouting out your attack spell name and like learning cast terms. And he was like, "Oh, I thought it only worked this way." So that was like a kind of interesting plot element. But the main protagonist, who has knowledge of science where science doesn't really exist in this world, is able to apply concepts of like lenses, combustion, and various other things into the weaving of his magic kind of circles, or like complex magic spells. And he's able to do really, really complex spells that like literally blow everybody else away. Like anything the guy does is just like like everyone else is like literally like not there's like no one else at your level. Like this stuff's crazy. And so like in that aspect, I know it's not a recommended show for Albert. He's not really missing out, but I do kind of like shows that kind of follow that premise of being able to apply knowledge from like physics that are still present in other worlds that just the denizens of that world haven't really had the chance to care to look at it yet, to kind of achieve really cool stuff. So that's kind of what I'm mostly along the ride for.
So, if you were to get on this on Crunchyroll, it's called Wiseman's Grandchild or something like that, grandson. And,
Yeah.
and I feel that it has missed a lot of key points that were pointed out in the manga as far as the start, but you can kind of put it together just by watching. Like some of the things that it didn't explain was that if you saw that when he was writing magic on doing enchanting, it would come out in Japanese symbols. While the world there does not use that kind of it doesn't use kanji at all. It uses its own little alphabetical thing. It explains in the manga that he realizes that because you can write more using kanji, that he starts doing that, and since he's the only one that knows the language, he's able to put more enchantments and more things into the stuff that he makes compared to others and stuff like that. But that's why his because like certain items, you can only use a certain amount of symbols to enchant it. You just don't have like unlimited space.
Yeah,
So,
I did pick up on that. That's kind of interesting because I didn't know he was, getting away with using kanji.
like when he used his jet boots at the beginning of the first episode, it showed the kanji, but I thought it was just showing that he's using a special attack, but no, it's actually the symbols that he used to enchant his boots, and so that's why I said it showed it being used, but it didn't really explain it, and I thought that was kind of strange how they didn't go into that, but overall you can still piece it together, so I didn't think it was that big of a deal.
I got you.
But if you read the manga, it has a lot more finer points on what's going on and what's been happening. Some funner stuff does happen with him at the very beginning and his his OP-ness and how he uses his magic. But the overall show is it's not too bad, I would say right now. I think if you weren't if killed by all the isekai shows earlier and you were to pull this up, you wouldn't feel that disgusted by it because it's not terrible, but it's not. It doesn't seem like it's really suffering from any pacing right now. So it's turning out to be way better than some of the other titles like the Ragnarok or the smartphone show.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree it's better than those, but it still kind of falls into that vein, I think, which will like shake a lot of people because the some of the other like elements of the show with how it's showing the not that like a harem scenario, but like the just school stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing I hate too about a lot of these isekai stuff. For some reason, they all have to go to some kind of magic school and stuff. But this one at least doesn't have a harem element, from what I remember reading. So I'm actually kind of happy about that. There's no like 7-5 girls or whatever many they have usually, all going for him, and him being dunce or doesn't or being indecisive doesn't hurt him in this sense. But it's like I said, if you were to pick up the manga, I think you would enjoy the manga way more than the anime so far because of how it explains things. But overall, I think it's okay. What about you, Vincent?
Just a few things. As I typed it up before, it's slightly better than the smartphone isekai one from the seasons ago. And the whole premise is ridiculous. And, I can go on and on about those, but as Nick pointed out before, and you too, Tank, about how he uses a kanji as a way to condense the chanting, the ways to cheat, kind of reminds me of how this whole old Japanese role-playing games, the text is a 2-bit base, so when they try to translate to English, they have often run into the issues because of English in alphabet runs in the 1 bit, they run out of space quickly. Whereas you can kind of cram up the kanjis in the complex of the character, and you can easily condense it to smaller form, and therefore be able to fit into the text box a lot easier. That's that's the idea I came up with. I was wondering if they're having a little fun with that aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like that was really surprising to me because like taking it a step away is like what if you figmented up your own language, which had even more condensed symbols? Like would it just take because like why is it just Japanese? Why can't you just figment your own? But it's not in the scope of this show. It's just like that's why I'm saying it's so weird that like kanji can so readily hop right in a world where it doesn't belong. So, okay. It's cool. I like the element of that. It's just okay.
Well, maybe because the original character came from Japan, so they just
Yeah.
assumed that it's to be the case.
Yeah, like I'm saying, you can explain it any way you want, but you'll never know. It's at the discretion of the author.
I do have one question, and I can't remember for the life of me. But did Truck-kun make his appearance here, or was it some other incident that brought him to his reincarnation?
Do what?
Truck-kun.
Oh,
Was he killed by a truck? I can't remember. Basically.
yeah. Actually, that was so quick. I can't remember how he passed.
Oh well, we'll just have to figure that out later. Well, actually, let's how do you say it? Let's keep with the isekai element for our next discussion. And
Yeah, he was a truck coon.
yeah, so and let's make it a little more fun. Let's go ahead and talk about this short, the Isekai Quartet.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to say I'm not watching this thing. I considered watching it. I was almost on board, but then I remembered the school Attack on Titan thing, and I went, okay, I'm jumping ship. Like it could be cool.
So
If that Attack on Titan thing didn't exist, I'd probably be watching this. But since that existed, I just went, nope, I'm done.
So
That's all.
I actually felt the same way. I was like, oh, I remember the Attack on Titan thing, and that was just so stupid. Although I did like how they made what's his face, um, Arumin look really ridiculous because I hate him. So that kind of made me happy about that whole school thing. But So I almost gave up on this, but I decided to watch it today because it's just short. I can easily get through it, and I'm actually really happy I watched it. It's so great how they pull all these isekai elements into, or these isekai characters into this one world with their troupe, and what makes it so great is that all the characters are still in character. It's not like Attack on Titan where everyone had this really weird relationship or weird quirk with them that just made them ridiculous. This keeps every single trait that all those characters are. So it was awesome. And so you got Yojo Senki, right? Which is Tanya the Evil, right?
Hmm.
You got Konosuba, which I think is the greatest pair or greatest group in this whole story. They're just so hilarious and just so out there that it makes it so much fun. Um, you got Overlord with Alzangul and his guardians, and then you got ReZero with
Subaru.
yes, but
Ram.
yeah, that group, and it's a lot of a lot of the greatness comes from whenever they have the Konosuba group there, just because of Aqua and how um, all of them interact with everyone, and it's just total ridiculousness. But I'm loving it to death. I can't wait for another episode. It's probably one thing I'm going to watch every week as soon as I can figure out the date it comes out. What about you, Vincent?
It was fun. I mean, I like the fact that it's a bite size that I don't have to sit and watch through 24 minutes. I don't think it could sustain that long every single time. But I did like the last episode when the Subaru and Kazuma had an exchange. Basically, both of them complaining to each other about how suck their life is since they've been transferred to their current isekai, and then the Kazuma realized how Subaru is having it much better than he is, and he decided to swear him off. I thought that exchange was funny.
Yeah, that was great because they're like we're both isekai characters that didn't get any OP-ness. We just got stuck in this world and we're suffering. It was just awesome.
Yeah, one ends up in a barn, and the other one ends up in a mansion. Oh yeah, yeah, mansion's good, but I still suffer just like everybody else. And it's like, wait a minute, so you're in a mansion, you are surrounded by all these beautiful girls who loves you, and you have a clear goals as to who you want to go after. And how dare you put me into the same spot as you are? I'm done with you, kind of fun.
So, um, yeah, it's fun. How they all get to that world is all explained within that first episode, so you can watch that and get into it. And I really want to see how far it gets. Um, how many cores is it for, actually? I'm hoping
No
it's.
idea.
I think one core, 12 episodes.
Oh yeah, 12 episodes. Oh, that's sad. But it is a 12-minute show that does have an opening and an ending. The ending has actually got me really intrigued. I really wish Crunchyroll would subtitle the endings and stuff so that I can understand what they're talking about.
Mm. They'll
Because
never do that. Licensing.
so I guess I'll have to go to YouTube, good old YouTube, and it's uh, closed caption.
Autogen.
Yeah. Google Sensei, help me. You can do that way as well. But that's enough for this short. Let's go ahead and see what other titles we got on here. Let's go ahead and pick one that we can get Sean's input on. Let's
You have
go
a choice
ahead.
of 3, and I don't know which ones you talked about.
Let's go ahead.
None.
We didn't talk about any of this.
Wow.
So we'll talk about Sarazan Mai.
Mm-hmm.
I see a kappa on there and
All right, Sean, sell this one to me.
all sorts of weird things. Yeah.
Geez, that's really hard.
Okay. I thought you were on.
It's just like you just got to watch the first episode. Like, you have to watch it because, like, not even apparently the creator of the show omitted the thing omitted something really shocking and important and like crazy. The thing that like makes the show is omitted from the pitch because you didn't even want like I don't know, I guess the financiers, whoever he pitches it to know about it. So it's this is the latest show from Kunihiko Ikuhara, who is he did Utena, he did Penguin Drum, he did Yurikuma Arashi. And he's just this like incredibly influential anime creator. Like, so many people, have sort of cribbed or taken or, have been directly mentored in his style by working on his shows. Like, he's just so big in the industry. So, and he doesn't make that much anime. So that what I really like about Ikuhara though is, unlike so many other anime creators, every new thing that he makes is even crazier. Because a lot of anime creators, like say Imaishi, like they make their craziest stuff first, and then everything after that is kind of this watered down, like more saleable, more mainstream, more palatable version of that. But Sarazanmai like pushes the envelope even further than any of his other shows. So like it makes an incredible first impression, like right away. So aside from that, like going into his shows are kind of hard to go into, I guess, because they're really abstract. There's all this like symbolism. It's cryptic. That said, I'm not that lost in Sarazanmai yet. Like I still feel like it has more to reveal, more up its sleeve. But I haven't seen the latest episode, so a lot of his shows have like a strong cultural criticism element to them. Like for example, Yuri Kuma Arashi, which was his previous show, like was this strong criticism of like Japanese conformist culture and the systematic bullying that happens in schools and institutions, and like how that excludes people and so on and so forth. So Yuri Kuma Arashi came out with that thesis like in the first episode, but I've seen 3 episodes of Sarazanmai and it hasn't made its like grand criticism of, I don't know, whatever it's going to do. It hasn't made its grand criticism yet, so I'm kind of waiting for that to happen.
I'm just going to interject. Do you think it's about cross-playing at cons? No, I'm kidding.
I don't know. It could be. I mean, how much have you seen of it?
I've seen episode 1.
Okay.
That's why I didn't know if it persisted into the next few, because I dropped it. Like, the only thing that I could say is I kind of wanted to watch more, but then I really didn't. And since I felt so teetery about it, I just decided to kind of not. One of the things that I really did like about it, it's like not even surprisingly, was that stylistic ending. I like how it had like almost live like background pieces with the 2D character animation and how they just played with like the depth of like a 3-dimensional light show, like going and like with ray tracing basically going on. I'm like, this ending's cool, but
yeah, that ending's cool as shit. And there's also they put out a trailer like maybe 6 months ago that also had like the live action video effects with like the 2D elements, except it's the characters like in the photographed world. And that it has all that detail of like you can see them in the reflections of things, and they go the distance. Because I thought that was going to be the show originally. I thought the whole show was going to be like that, but it's a little bit too much to ask for.
It might be. The finale hasn't hit yet, I say sarcastically.
So that's that show. That's my number 1 of the season. I think it blows everything else out of the water, as far as I'm concerned.
At eccentricities, I give it to you, but I don't know. I didn't really see too much of a reason for me to now that not that I'm saying like it's just that definitely was a weird one, and
Mhm.
I've kind of had to watch some of his other stuff because I don't really care for well, it's not that I don't really care. It's I don't really look into anime sometimes for you know super complex like symbolistic messages like and I can't say like as you were saying that I really clearly saw anything here yet,
Mhm.
but the way that they were kind of just telling the story was just like I said. It's just I just kind of if maybe I had nothing else going on, sure I'd watch it, but in lieu of like the list and I have to make cuts since I was so teetery with this one, I'm just like
Yeah, I mean, I guess we watch anime for different reasons. Like for
yeah
me, it's the quality of the production, the creativity of it, and just the novelty of it. It's like I've watched a lot of anime in
oh
my
yeah.
life, and like at this point, like to get me to watch more anime, I feel like I've seen it all, right? So I need to see something that does something really different that like pushes boundaries, pushes the envelope, and this is one of those shows.
I get you.
But
I feel
there's only like one or zero of those shows every season.
Mhm.
I
So
feel I feel the same way, Sean. That's why I watch all those isekais.
I mean, you gotta hit rock bottom first.
Albert, did you watch this or?
I've only watched the first episode, so everything else has been on the back burner. But yeah, I mean, it takes a while for Ikuni stuff to get going, right? And it's it's such a very bizarre story. Yeah, it's gonna take a while for me to actually get into it, but I do intend to continue watching it.
All right. So let's go ahead and move on to the next title. Let's go ahead and move on to something a little more down to earth. Senryu Shoujo. So Senryu Shoujo is another somewhat short, right? It's like
12 minutes probably again, yeah.
yeah, a half episode. And I'm actually I really love the ending song. And but other than that, the show itself is decent. It's okay. I mean, I have no faults with it, but it's a nice show just to sit down, relax, and watch. Um, it's got this weird girl. I don't know the characters' names in the show yet.
Nanako.
She just talks using only this little piece of paper or whatever you want to call that thing. Whatever.
No, sometimes she gestures. Remember, a friend asked, "How do you go to the restroom?" Or like, "How do you ask to go to the restroom?" There's gestures sometimes.
I wonder what is that thing she's always holding? What is that called?
Tanjaku.
Tanzaku?
Hmm.
Yeah, so she's always using dialogue, using that, and while everyone else is okay with it, which I find weird, but she has some unique ways of. The only thing that bothers me is that on Crunchyroll, it has this really weird way of subtitling it, where it'll put the first line she says at the top of the screen, the second line she says at the bottom of the screen, and the last line she says above that one, which just throws
Uh,
me off.
Wait, so on the Crunchyroll subtitle, you're talking about the subtitle, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's probably because of the way Japanese grammar, the sentence structure is, and I think they just had to do that, or it wouldn't make sense. Although I actually haven't seen the subtitle version, so
I'd almost argue that maybe it's actually more of a user error thing because I've seen. So I don't know what they're using to design their subtitles. Like what program they're like what their front back end is. But I've seen it where there was a subgroup who would layer their subtitles, so subtitles would show directly over, like superimpose over. And there was a time where one of them aired, and they made it like they didn't layer it correctly, so two subtitles were on the same layer, and one got shown at the normal, where you would expect it to be, and the other one like literally got inserted above, which threw off like the lyrical styling of everything until they fixed it. But I almost wonder if like two things are trying to be in the same place, and their software is just going, now that I'm trying to put this here, I can't stick it there because that other thing's there, so I just have to put it somewhere else. But could be. I don't know. Anyway, it's Tank.
Oh yeah. So that just throws me off a lot, and it kind of started to irritate me at the beginning, but not enough to drop the show because it's a decent show. It's a nice, relaxing show that has quite a few laughs, and I'm very happy.
Yeah. I figured you would be, because I was actually had half a mind if you didn't start watching this thing, because I know how you are with picking up shows sometimes, depending on the season. But I was gonna tell you to watch this one, episode 4. You're gonna really like a character who's introduced who only likes to draw. Like she's a lot like the protagonist character, except she likes to draw, and I was actually I liked the show before that silver-haired character's introduction. I've only had one episode with her, so her name I'm the most sketchiest with. But I just like how they're animating that character, because when she has her notebook, how she does the animations for talking sometimes, or she'll draw something on her sleeve to super hold in front of her mouth to do facial expressions, and I don't know. I just really I liked the show before then. Now I want to see more of that character and how she interacts in her artistic way. More so than the protagonist character. But it's still a decent show otherwise.
What about you, Vincent?
Let's see. Senior Girl has lots of cute girls. That's good enough for me. There.
One of the things that I don't know if I like about the show is how almost antisocial some of the characters are being portrayed as. I can't talk normally. I must write in poem. I can't talk normally. I must use pen and paper. But it's a comedy, so it's not trying to be practical. But it's just kind of funny that they were able to come up with characters like that and kind of put a spin on a show like this. So
I did like that one part where it showed this is how it actually sounds when they were communicating.
where they cut off all the music effects, yeah.
All the voices.
Well, because that was the weird thing about this one. You made me forget. Well, you didn't make me forget. I forgot, but you made me remember. Was you would almost think that they don't need a voice actor for some of these characters because they're just writing, but they still got a voice actor because they speak the dialogue. So you have this dreamy speech sequence of them conveying their thought, just not spoken word.
Wait a minute, isn't there another show that has all the three girls going wah 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 without actually ever speaking?
The Joshi Kosei, it's just sound effects.
Yeah.
Yeah, they only convey in grunts and sound effects. There's no spoken word really.
Actually, you know what? Watch the ending. I love the music for this. I just actually listened to it a few hundred times before this hangout. But since you guys were talking about Joshi Kosei, is this it? Because I saw the first episode and I was like, okay.
The first episode was abnormally weird. The other ones are still a little bit, but that first episode was a little. So I actually saw bits and pieces of this thing as a manga because someone would release it onto social media. There was this I know I shared this one gum drop, somebody dropped a stick of gum, and I remembered seeing that in the manga, and I'm like, this is the thing that is based off of. So it aside from episode 1, I don't think its premise is supposed to be fan service. It is, but it's more censored, not with direct images. It's more it's just kind of skirting that line of revealing stuff and not revealing stuff, and the off angle of skirts and stuff. But it pretty much follows a handful, one protagonistic, but a bunch of her friends too, as they go about their daily life. And for whatever reason, maybe because the manga had no, it didn't like none of the characters. Like I don't know if it had dialogue or not because I didn't read the show, I didn't read the manga. But from the little bit that I saw, there was no written word. So I'm kind of wondering if that's why they're just using grunts to kind of convey scenes. It would make it really cool as far as like a translator's perspective because there's not much to translate.
Just the
But
title.
yeah, but it's an intriguing show. But it has a cast of Joshi Kosei characters, high school girls, and it tries to depict cute girls doing cute fan servicey things. Not really, kind of skirting that line. With
Yeah,
skirts a lot of the time.
I would say fan service things rather than cute things because I know when cute girls do cute things. That wasn't cute.
No. I just wanted to take that concept and like try to give it to this thing somehow. Like that wasn't not me actually saying that.
I think the only reason why those girl characters actually have a voice actors assigned to it and get credit for is because of the ending song. I can't think of any other reason really. You could have anybody else just do that little sound bites.
Well,
and
you
then
need you need someone to do the stuff.
They should just use Vocaloid. Do the whole thing that way.
there you go.
Okay. Yeah, that's enough for high school girls. We don't need to spend too much time on them, right?
No more than 3 years now.
No. Let's go ahead and move on to this lovely
Then you
title.
move to other high school girls because
Let's move to this title that's in the realm of high school still, but way better. Fruit Baskets, 2019.
Well, it's been 20 years since the first one.
I have no idea how long it's been, but let's not put a number to that because I don't want to feel old yet.
Okay, so all right, so 18 years. I'm up by a little bit.
So, what do you want to cover about this, Vincent? What do you like about this?
Well, a few things actually. I mean, once I got over with how Toru's eyes shrunk considerably from the first season and the original manga, I kind of got used to that idea that okay, so having somewhat large eyes is not a bad thing. And as I was starting to watch more and more episodes, I started to notice that there's quite a bit of change that's being made, not to impact the storyline whatsoever, but in a more subtle ways. Because if you watch the first episode, and if you remember the first episode from the original series way back when, it's literally frame to frame identical, other than the aspects, and it's been drawn by obviously different person and different voice actor. But as it moves on to the later episode, it actually started to change. And last episode, was it episode 4 or 5? Was it? This was the episode where the Toru gets a call from her grandfather, who she used to live with after her mother passed away, that his house is being done with a renovation, that she should move back with him. And that was the episode where she goes and all these things happen, where then she finally opened up and tell the grandfather that she much rather stay with those guys. If you remember, in the original series and also in manga, as Toru was talking to her grandfather about how she really truly feels about it, you just see Yuki appearing out of thin air to swoop her in and tell their pieces. Okay, we are kidnapping the princess, and here we go, and bye bye, and kind of walks away. Whereas a new series, actually, they decide to put a little different spin by showing more about what transpired Yuki and Kyo to get there, and how they actually spend time eavesdropping it and try to figure out when is the best timing to actually go inside the house and take Toru away, which was not mentioned. But if you actually watch this episode, it actually makes a whole lot more sense to have a little bit of a transitioning moment instead of just abruptly dropping in and take her away. So I think those are a nice touch they decide to have instead of just literally following the manga as before.
So I did kind of notice that as well when I first saw the first two episodes. That everything seems pretty similar to what I remember a long time ago. I can't remember exactly when I saw the show, but and so I kind of figured that I may wait until a lot more episodes come out and just watch it all in a batch because I pretty much already know this how it's going to go. So maybe you can keep us updated on, or at least maybe you can update me if it does have any big changes that I might want to try to grab and watch in the
Yeah, yeah,
future.
sure.
But it seemed very fun and still just the great show it used to be. I did notice that it had some thing that back in the day I heard a lot of, and it's not in anime so much, such as that Dempa girl.
Yeah. She
So
hasn't made much appearance in the current series.
I remember seeing that a lot more back in the day too. So it's kind of I kind of almost forgot about that until she showed up again. I was like, oh yeah, that was a thing back in the day.
Hmm.
So it's kind of a nice to have a little throwback. Now, have they done any dating or updating on anything like when Parasite came out, they changed a few things so like he had smartphones and stuff like that. Have they done anything like that in this show?
Well,
Where
they
some of the
haven't.
technologies is more update?
Well, I mean, the TVs are definitely flatter. That's the one obvious change. But as far as a smartphone, they didn't really make a use out of smartphone. When Toru gets a call from her grandfather, she was called to the teacher's lounge to, get the call instead of him calling her directly or anything like that. So there hasn't been much change.
Hmm. Yeah, so if you've never seen Fruit Baskets, uh, would you recommend them watching that first before watching this, or just go ahead and just continue with this show?
I think it depends on what you like. And maybe you like a shoujo series or have some passing interest in it, then it's probably worth just at least watching the first episode since this is pretty one of the famous series in a while. But if you have no interest in shoujo, I really can't see how this is going to persuade anybody to watch it. That's my take. Having said that, I felt that they did spend quite a bit of cares making this series that everything looks consistent, whether it's episode one or current episode. The character didn't look so rushed or background didn't look all rushed or drawn out because they ran out of time, anything like that. So it's pretty obvious that they are really banking on concentrating efforts on making this series, which is really good for them.
I see. Well, let's go ahead and then let's see about moving on to the next title. And I'm just gonna throw this out there because I have no idea what this is about. So, what's Fairy Gone? What is this?
That is the latest PA Works anime. I can't say that I tried to watch it. It's more like I downloaded an episode and skimmed around, and I was actually laughing at how stupid it looked. So that's all I can say about it.
I can't say that I'm current with it, but I did attempt to watch like an episode or two, and I'm probably considering carrying on with it. It's just kind of set in a world almost a lot like that. Well, not in what the content was delivered, but It's a world where fairy-like beings they kind of exist, and while it's rare for a fairy
You
to
telling me they're
possess,
not gone?
yeah, they're not gone. They're mostly gone, but they're not gone.
Damn.
Uh, so it's very rare for them to what they call possession, which I'm sure they're going to explain this better in the series later. But if they possess a person, that person is able to launch out a persona-like being who is like the fairy and conduct combat with them. So it's more of like a soldier kind of a thing. Fairies are government-controlled entities where it's not supposed to be in the hands of civilians. So much so that there is a black market that sells fairies, and you could undergo a surgery where, as I said, fairy possession was kind of rare. They can, like, I don't know, implant a special, I think it's an organ or alter something, and then all of a sudden you can harness the power of a fairy. And yeah, you just project out a being that it seems like you share some sensory data with it as they are hit and receive damage. The person who corresponds to the fairy kind of is shown getting some physical feedback from that. But it's a very war era-esque piece where we had a character who was literally possessed in episode 1, that rare thing that is said to be like never really happen, and she is met by a military personnel who says, I either have to kill you now because you're an illegal being, or you can join our unit. And it's like, okay. So there seems to be an underlying motivation. The military is hounding after that black market thing. There's a character tie-in with the one of the two protagonists of the show. She just knows someone who's kind of working in that black market, kind of a evil organization kind of a thing, and she's chasing after her friend, and it's a war piece.
Anyone else watch this? Or?
It's a little bit like the Maho Shoujo one, just again, not the art style, not any type of the content. This one's definitely set more in the past, but it's very similar on that premise of
The Maho Shoujo? Which...
yeah, they're not more the Maho Shoujo Special Ops.
Asuka?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying, like, it's not like if you like that show, go check this one out. I just meant the concept is a little bit similar where, people are, it's not just Maho Shoujo here, because it's not a magical girl thing. It's fairy, but.
Yeah, when you say Maho Shoujo, I just think Madoka is the first thing that comes out. So I
I said Special Ops, I mean, and then Vincent.
But I meant before that, I didn't say that, so that's why I was questioning your Maho Shoujo on this. Okay, so yeah, that's that show, I guess. Vincent, you have anything to add?
No, I mean, I watched the first 2 episodes. I'm still on the fence about it. It kind of feels a bit gloomy, like Kuromukuro from the few years back that PA Works did. And the bit of a plot device reminds me a bit of how the Witch Hunter Robin is. Kind of a supernatural power, then you're forced to work for the either government agencies, suppress others, and kind of things. But I'm just gotta try to watch a few more episodes and see if I'm gonna keep on watching or not. It's kind of didn't really click to me.
Okay. Well, as we move on, let's go ahead and relax a little bit. And I think it's Senko time. This is all for Sean.
Senko Roll 2? I love Senko Roll 2.
Well, I've got a surprise for you. This isn't it. What is the thing that they say in this show? Like the fluff, is it mofu? Is it fluffy or something like that?
Sure.
It's like I want to say like fuwa time, but then I'm just thinking of K-On. So this is a show that you might think that it is unlikely for me to be watching this, and it is. I've seen maybe 3 episodes, and part of the reason is it's like simple enough that I can watch it without subs, and I just for like Japanese comprehension practice, I guess. But I'm pretty sure I'm not missing anything. The other thing that's kind of what makes it interesting to me, I'm probably not going to watch beyond episode 3 because whatever, I get it, but is that the main character is a salary man, and Senko-san is kind of like this amalgamation of like every familial relationship that you can have with a woman. You know, she's a she's a she's a grandmother, a mother, a cousin, a sister, like a loli, like all at once. Just all those identities all packed into one character. And like every interaction he has with her brings him back to the days before he was made dead inside by, his salaryman lifestyle. So like that kind of makes it this window into the psyche of a salaryman in a weird way. And so that's what made it interesting to me. Like I'm
Does
not.
he work?
Hmm?
Does he work for a black company?
Not really. Like it doesn't go into any of that kind of stuff. You know, it's not like real life or anything. It's just kind of like
a daily grind.
It's just a daily grind that like wore him down into this man that's like dead inside. And then I don't know. Like I said, I'm watching this without subs, so I don't know the exact premise, but the fox spirit from the divine realm sees that he has this like dark cloud, and she comes to his apartment to live with him so she can cure the dark cloud or some crap like that.
Okay. I might have to check it out because it just sounds ridiculous.
I figured you would have actually checked it out, Albert. Dang.
Yeah,
I'm behind on a lot of things, but
Yeah,
it's just so having watched this, I'm kind of expecting a scene somewhere where the salary man is going to be like, oh, I wish I could do high school over again.
No, he's
and
almost
that's
like
why anime.
it's almost like one of those shows where the not like, as Sean was saying, like a lolly show, but like he kind of acknowledges that too, because she has this very young appearance, and every time he wants to hold back because he doesn't want to be seen as a lolicon, but anytime that he says any of that stuff, she goes, "Oh, I'm 800 years old. You're like a kid to me." So don't give me any of that. So it's so weird to have like the character kind of acknowledge, but it almost goes closer to that other vein on the other end of the spectrum, but not really.
So basically, they're like related, but not blood related. So it's a win. Yay! Yay, Eromanga Sensei. Oh, god damn it. Okay. So I'm looking at the poster for this show, and I guess there's other Fox lollies that will show up, it looks like.
I guess. Like I got to the episode where his neighbor showed up, which is the one wearing glasses and isn't a Fox lolly thing. I don't know. And then I think later on in that episode, maybe it was the next episode, I don't even remember, but they go shopping. And I think, and again, I'm watching without subs, but I think like going shopping and having fun with Senko-san while shopping, like brings him back to the days of like, oh right, shopping was fun when I shopped with my mom or something like that. It's not just part of the daily grind, but it's this activity that's supposed to be enjoyable. So she's the antidote to everything that's wrong with his lifestyle, but not in like this specific and critical way. Is just a fantasy escape for this salary man's audience surrogate.
And to be clear, like it isn't something that he's seeking either, because he kind of feels weird about this, like God looking after him, and her mentality on this is, oh, this is completely of my own, like just let me do this for you, like I just want to do this.
Yeah, and like that vagueness is important for that ambiguity is important so that she can assume like every female role like all at once. You know, like I said, she's this amalgamated like grandmother, mother, wife, cousin, loli, sister. You know, it's like 1 minute she's cleaning his ears, you know, in that old timey Japanese way, and giving him like waves of pleasure and nostalgia. And then the next minute they're like playing competitive video games or something. They're playing video games.
You know, since you mentioned that, that episode reminded me of this one thing. I don't know if you guys can see the link I just posted up, but it reminded me of this VR app for the phone for ear cleaning.
Oh, geez.
Oh, that's just a weird thing that happened, and
I've totally installed and tried this app before.
Oh, Jesus.
But my phone does VR really badly, so it was actually kind of a nightmare.
But this show is I don't know, it seems interesting, but it's also, to me, I don't know how it kind of creeps me out a little bit sometimes, like with how this guy is. And yeah, I don't think I'm going to continue watching this unless something really major happens, but there's other feel-good shows that I can watch and I think I can enjoy compared to this one. So too bad Sean's not going to continue on. I was hoping him to tell me all about it.
Yeah, I think like the show the thing that the show is going to show me has been shown.
Yeah,
and like the only way forward now is just to escalate. It's like we're gonna throw in more characters, and you know, then it's like whatever. It's like I get it now, and I kind of don't need to watch it more of it.
Wasn't it? I can't remember. Like back in the day, before this came out last season, I think it was. You were showing us this YouTube video with this guy using that character or some kind of character that looked like it for some kind of YouTube videos.
I don't know. Is this some like virtual YouTuber or something?
Not that
Like
I know.
what was it? Just like some blatant old man with like a fox loli avatar like on YouTube or something like that?
I remember you showing us that. That's what I thought you picked this up, and I was like,
I picked it up because the salary man's name is Nakano. It reminds me of a certain someone. But
Oh, jeez.
No commento.
we know you're hiding your fox lolly away from us.
Hey, we were saying he was going to get his own show last season. We were saying it.
So as if the salaryman wasn't like an audience surrogate enough, the post credits have a first person Senko-san talking directly to you kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
So it like cuts out the middleman. Now you're the salaryman or whatever.
How strange.
Yeah, it is strange. Japanese media culture is really strange, but we've known this.
Let's get away from the salaryman thing and move on to back to high school. I don't have a card for this. I tried looking around. I have nothing usable. But Okatachi wa benkyou ga dekinai. I hope I said that correctly.
Sounds right.
You know, the funny thing is I'm watching this show, and I'll probably keep watching it, but when you said back to high school, and this is our next topic, I kind of just sighed a little.
Yeah. So it's translated on Crunchyroll as "We Never Learned," or learn. Sorry, not learned. Learn. We never learn. And I've actually been reading the manga for a long time, so it's basically almost like a. To me, it feels like those old shows that came out, like Nisekoi and such, where there's that one guy and a bunch of girls that show up, and you know, they all kind of fall in love with him or whatnot, and he doesn't know what to do. He's not good at relationships, so he's not like, or he is somewhat oblivious at some points, but at other points he's not. But he's just too embarrassed to know what to go or what to do, or how to proceed with what's happening. So it starts off with him teaching two his classmates. He's told by the principal of his school to teach these two geniuses, and he's kind of like questions why he has to teach these two geniuses if they're geniuses. So then he finds out that due to their hopes and dreams, they want to study and go into a field that's opposite of where they excel at. So like one of them's a math genius, but she wants to learn more about the literature and aspects because of, I think it was gaming, right, or something like that. Some board games and stuff like that. So, and then the other one's a literature genius, but is terrible at math, and she wants to go into math for some reason. I won't say it yet. I can't remember if she explained why she wanted to do it yet, but so he's tasked with the job to teach them because no one else is able to teach them, or they all give up and try to force them to go into their fields that they excel at. So that's the whole premise. And then as it goes on, of course, more girls show up, and it's just this whole harem romance school comedy that's played over and over again everywhere else. But
Wait, what? Isn't this the same plot as the last season, the Gotobun no Hanayome?
It's similar, but not the same, but very similar.
yeah, instead of the protagonist being this jerk or this guy that's stuck up, this guy, he knows the hardships of failure and trying to learn, because I guess he's not really good at studying or wasn't really good at anything, but through hardships and through the words of his father, he slowly built himself up to a point. So when these girls are suffering, he kind of feels for them, and that's why he tries to help them. While the other guy is just this kind of a-hole.
Well, I mean, we could talk about the differences all day, but no, yeah, a lot less characters so far, and like the motivations and just other backset reasons are kind of different. I do feel that this show's going to be a lot different anyway. It's definitely much closer to, I don't know, like there was a lot of distinct differences that last one had from the traditional genre that I'm used to, but that was then, this is now. Yeah, I'm watching it. I mean, I don't see, but well, personally, for the type of shows that I watch, like basically a reason not to. I always like being introduced to stories like this, and I kind of find it entertaining how two people can be like so good, like their brain chemistry or whatever, can just excel in one field, and then I get it. These characters have motivations, but like why you would absolutely not want to take advantage of like your natural born skill or talent and go into this thing you're horrible at is like an intriguing, not an intriguing hook, but a hook nonetheless. And I think that's like one of the charm points of the show, because everybody's always telling them like you guys are so good at this one thing. Why don't you just pursue a profession in that? They're like, because we that's not us. We don't want to. And it's like, okay.
So what about you, Vincent? Where do you rate this harem show?
I don't know. I mean, had I not watched the quintessential quintuplet last season, I might be a little bit more into it since I did watch Nisekoi both season. It has as Nick said, it does have a lot of similar feels to it. But I'm not very interested in. I watched the first 3 episodes and like, I think I'm kind of not wanting to watch any more of this for a little while. I think I'm tapped out. And also, it's not to. My other point being that there's another series also run on the same magazine series. I think both this one's running the weekly Shonen Jump, and the other one I believe is the Demon Slayer. Both of them are running the same magazine, and yet you can tell just how different they feel over presentation, and that's as I was watching both series, it was kind of a jarring experience. I mean, yeah, they're technically very different type of series and all, but given the paces of both series running on the weekly magazine, that's the thing that kind of reminded me of how cheap it feels to watch this series versus the Demon Slayer. But that's, I guess, for the later.
We can actually go to that title next. I actually have that card right there. Boom! Demon Slayer or Kimetsu no Yaiba.
Yep.
So yeah, I, I cried. I think a little bit at the first episode.
The first episode.
Nezuko, no.
See, my initial episode reaction was, okay, I'm watching Dororo. I might keep watching Dororo and not this, but then I kind of noticed who was doing this one. I'm like, oh, I'll stick around for another episode, and I was kind of sold into it.
So, yeah, I love tragedy. So, first episode was right up there with me. Made me happy.
I see tragedy generates happiness.
Yeah, I just like it when they do it just right. And the show was decent enough. I watched it while I was down there at SakuraCon one of the nights, so we got to have some fun watching as a group. And it was it had a very impactful first episode, and which instantly got us hooked. So it did a good enough job with episode 1 in hooking my group. So as it went on to episode 2, we were expecting this whole lengthy story about how he has to go on his journey and train, but it seems that the pacing is actually not that bad. We were kind of expecting this whole arc all on training, but it didn't do that. It actually kind of went through and got through it in a decent pace, that I thought, and I was really happy with it.
I think they made a conscious decision to skip a lot of lengthy, overdone stuff with this series. Because this being a shonen series, if they decide to go with the whole Naruto route, they can go on forever and ever. I think they're actually trying to wrap this up in a reasonable time, so they're cutting a lot of things in this series to not to bore the people. And when you see the names of UFO table kind of throw in there, you kind of have to say, okay, I kind of have to see out of obligation. And yeah, as you said, the first episode really got my attention just for how it was well designed and drawn, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the reason I checked out the first episode too. I watched I watched premiere and then half of the second episode. And you just have to watch it because it's like, wow, UFO Table did a thing that's not based on a video game. If you think about it, they haven't done some non-video game thing in like a decade or something. I don't know.
Non-Fate series.
Yeah, I mean they did like Fate, and they did God Eater, and they did all the Tales things,
Yeah, I was gonna say the Tales.
and they did that like Sword Guys. What the hell is the name of that?
Sword
Token
Guy.
Rambu. Like that's also a video game. Like they've been doing nothing but video game things for like over a decade. Like I have to think all the way. Oh no, I guess they did that movie. They did like that really obscure Witch Sisters movie, but if you don't count that, which was an original, you have to go all the way back to what, like Manabi Straight or something. Which is probably so old that it's presented in like 4x3. So yeah, I had to watch this thing, and I thought it was really bad. And maybe I just have like an aversion to the shonen genre, but I was watching this with a friend who isn't averse to shonen anime, and then like in the first scene where the kid is like having a good time with his idyllic family in the village or whatever, and then he's like, well, I gotta head out, and then both of us said, like, try to make it back before the village burns down, because we know how it's gonna go. And lo and behold, and like this, the writing has a level of wordiness that goes beyond like, how did you dodge my attack? It's like this, they narrate every little thing that happens on screen like you're blind, and it's like this, the kid throws an axe at a dude, and then the dude is like narrating at the screen for like a minute about how the axe was thrown at him or something.
It's just shoujo for you, though.
It was absolutely killing me.
Or shonen. Sorry, not shoujo.
Yeah,
It's like they did a lot of Naruto back in the day too.
It is, it's okay to do that if it's like episode 37 or something, but this was like the premiere. The premiere should just be action packed. It should be like firing on all cylinders and not just like expositing at the screen about how this one thing happened for like a minute. So I was I was really shocked by that.
But if they didn't say it, I would have known.
Sean mentioned it before about that.
On the plus side, it looks nice. It's got appealing colors. I like the checkerboard patterns and stuff. I enjoy that the kid has these earrings that looks like the Imperial Japanese flag, which causes controversy when they air this thing in China. That's what I've heard.
Really?
Yeah, it's got like the red sun with the sun rays, coming out of it. So
I was debating on whether that's that Japanese Imperial military flag, or is it one of those cards from the Hanafuda game.
Do any of the Hanafuda cards have sun rays in it? I'm trying to recall.
Yeah, to me that kind of reminds me of that, but I can see why it looks like an Imperial flag. I mean, it's pretty obvious there too.
Yeah, but in any case, it just seemed like shonen tropes squared to me. So I guess how much you enjoy this depends on like how averse you are to shonen tropes.
I'm there for the tragedy.
But hasn't the tragedy mostly come and gone?
Oh no, there's the other people's tragedy too.
There's always more villages.
He's always going to be late by that 1 minute. A despair.
There's always more children of destiny who need to fetch a pail of water from the river and make it back home before dark or whatever.
But yeah, does anyone else have anything to say? Albert, you watching this?
I haven't watched it yet, so like I said, I'm behind. But I mean, the clips that I have seen are very pretty, but the story in a weird way kind of reminds me of Pupa. So.
I kind of got some vibes like that. Like I did, honestly. It made me remember that show a little bit too. But I this is probably leagues better than that show. I'd say what honestly probably kept me around, because of how like not flashy that first episode was like, I don't know if they showed the opening as the ending or whatnot, but when I saw what the show would open up into, like what they were going to lead into, it convinced me enough to kind of stick around. Like when he did like, the water dragon sword thing. Like, all right, I'll see what you're going to give me.
Yeah, but with Unforetold.
Unforetold.
Saying it that way. Their animation and everything is great, but let's just go to another great title here called Nande Koto ni Sensei ga.
That is Vincent. Yeah, there's really cool chibi art in it of the sensei. It's all over the place. It says Kora Kora, and if you like that, because I don't know what they're going to do for the Blu-ray, if that's going away or not. It would be really bad if that went away.
So I saw the first episode and I was like, dude, this is going to be my series. And then as I kept on watching it, I was like, it's a little too much for me. And by that I meant the censoring, but it's I don't know. I think even though it's a short, I don't think I can spend my time watching this.
Oh, you terrible person.
I'm
How could
sorry.
how could you not want to watch it when it's got all the
He's
boobs?
gonna wait for the Blu-ray when the censors might not be there.
Yeah, maybe. But
Probably a lot smaller.
I'll just have to settle with the manga.
Oh, well, if you're reading that, I could see it.
But how is it so far, you guys? 'Cause like I said, I only saw episode 1. I was like, okay, whatever.
I mean, I haven't seen the introduction of a lot of the other characters yet. Personally, I'm not super caught up with this one. But it's just one of those shows you can kind of get caught up with quickly. It's full steam Lucky Skeve. So if you like Lucky Skeve, watch this show. If you don't like Lucky Skeve, don't watch this show. Or if you don't like, they do use really large sensors at times. As I was kind of saying earlier, I'm not sure if that's going to be taken completely out for the Blu-ray, or as Vincent kind of guessed, reduced. Whenever something that's needed to be censored is on screen, we get like a TV art of the sensei character, and she's going kora kora or kore kore or kora kora, whichever. I forget which one she technically is saying, but sometimes the censors are fine. They're just obscuring what they need to, and like sometimes it obscures a lot of the screen because I guess that's what the screen was full of at that time. And it's not the best sometimes, but I tend to watch these shows with the censors because I don't personally care to go back later and see what they did for the Blu-ray. I just kind of watch them when they're new, and then, yeah.
So Vincent, can you tell us a little bit about the plot?
Well, but plot is I mean, more or less the same. If you look at the introduction, you kind of see all the pairing that's gonna happen. I'm surprised that after all these episodes, they still managed to still stick with the same two characters, really, the same teacher and the same main character, instead of moving on to the other three teachers and the other three students. What I'm actually the most surprised that after all these episodes, she hasn't managed to seal the deal. Because it's almost as if she's like one drink away from jumping and commit a crime or something and seal the deal. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those easy to understand. Yeah, the censoring kind of gets bothersome because it covers the entire screen for no reason. But it's one of those either you kind of just watch it and just kill some time with it, or you just kind of get totally turned off by it and just move on to something else. I really can't see what else there's to be added.
Yeah, we don't need to spend too much time on this title. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. If you're one of those people that loves this show, then you'll probably be forever alone.
Mhm.
Kind of like this one. Hitori Bochi no Reika. So I saw the first episode just before this hangout because I was waiting for everyone. And I was like, I might as well get this out of the way. And I'm actually sad I didn't watch more of it now. So let's go ahead and let Vincent tell us about this, if you can, Vincent.
Oh, let's see. So this is a middle school girl named Bochi. First name, her last name is Hitori, I think was it. So she was told by her best and the only friends who end up going to different school that if you don't make friends out of all your new classmates, that I'm not going to be your friends anymore. So that kind of puts her in a really tight spot. And being how socially awkward and a wallflower she is, that she's trying to and struggling to make a friends out of all these new classmates, and And it goes from there. She befriends the first one who has that exterior look of perpetually angry, those delinquent-looking girl. Then she befriends the vice class president who has the reputation of being unfortunate. And it's like mostly a lot of cute girls doing cute things, a lot of comedy, some drama. Some of the things that Bochi does is kind of cringy-worthy. And there's that truly unfortunate moment of this foreign blonde girl who comes to Japan all by herself because she's obsessed with this ninja culture. That's the one that really made me want to cringe. But otherwise, I find it very enjoyable.
It actually is a very enjoyable show, and the only thing that I have a problem with is what kind of a parent names her child Hitoribochi. I mean, half the name is not their problem. I understand that it is a, family name, but the given name really, and I don't know how they write in kanji or anything. I don't know if they actually did anything creative there, but I know enough Japanese to know what that means. And one of what actually kind of happens here is like what Vincent hit upon. I think her friend was attempting to look out for her in a really heavy-handed way because she moves away. She's Itori Bochi is someone who is she has so much social anxiety that like it's not that it's crazy or anything, but it just kind of goes back to the other show where you had the one character who talked in nothing but poems, and you had the one who would illustrate everything on her sleeves and notepad or whatever she had laying around. Hitori would fit in with those two kind of, but one of the weird, like, not like sitcom but kind of sitcom-esque things about this show is Hitori is so not used to being friends with people that when she's away from the few friends that she has so far made, she starts jumping to like really, really bad conclusion. Well, not really bad conclusions, but she gets the wrong idea easily when she spends time away from her current friends about what her relationship with is those friends or what thoughts that her friends might be going through, and she gets herself so worked up. It's kind of hilarious when that blonde haired character will step away and talk to somebody else, and Hitori will get herself so like either confused or just she'll assume what's going on through the characters, like what they're mentally thinking, and then she'll just start worrying about like problems that don't exist, to the point where she kind of breaks out into screaming slash, well, not screaming, but like just visibly tearing up and kind of crying. And her friend will look back at her and go, like, what now? like what did you think of now? And they're all good friends, and that's really cool. But that's just some of the unique humor about this show. If that doesn't sound like something that you like, then it's nothing you have to look into. But I am watching it just because I do like the comedy that they are weaving. It's a type that I haven't really seen done to this extent in any other show, so it's kind of what I'm sticking around for.
All right. So, is there anything else you want to add, or should we move on to the probably last title we have? Well, this one's a Netflix special, so I don't think it's being streamed anywhere. Which,
in Japan, sure.
Yeah, or Japan, yeah. So I don't have a title card for it, but it's Carol on Tuesday.
Sean.
Yeah, take it away, me. I've seen no episodes of the show.
Wait, did you watch up to 4 out of curiosity?
Did I watch what?
The 4th episode.
I've watched no episodes.
Aww.
0.
Aww.
I kind of forgot about this thing. I mean to watch it eventually because it's a Shinichiro Watanabe show and it's made by Studio Bones. So, it's automatically interesting, but I just haven't checked it out yet.
So I'll Well, did anyone else check this out of curiosity?
Yeah,
Just
I watched that.
okay.
I saw first episode. That's all.
Well, since you did the last one, I'll attempt to take this one away, but I'll probably be really bad about it because I don't have a big music background. This anime kind of starts in a weird way. In the first few moments of the show, we're always introduced to this like pre-show, like, you know, not like even a plot summary about like how, you know, this event that's going to happen later was so great that it's going to be known as like the 7 miraculous minutes on Mars. Hence, the show starts, and it is set on Mars, but it's not like it's in some sort of futuristic sci-fi world that it's not really clear like how Mars got how developed it was because if you like told me this was Earth, the only reason that they're saying Mars makes it Mars in my opinion. Um, they throw out names of like famous bands like crazy. Um, the protagonist character, who is a girl of, I'm guessing 17. Her name is Tuesday, was it, or is she Carol? I forget. It doesn't matter. Kind of runs away from home.
Tuesday.
Wow.
She's Tuesday?
Yep.
Okay. While she talks about idolizing Cyndi Lauper. And as she's kind of running away from home, we do get a little bit of an insight as to how futuristic this society is. I'm a little bit into that for that sci-fi, but it is also a music story. We've come to we are introduced into a world that's been optimized by AI. AI is driving a lot of things that it has been like, you know, way more things than it's been before. It's in your when you're ordering stuff, you go purely through AI. If you need to ask for a person, there's an ask for a person button. One of the things that kind of strikes me as odd is it's got its claws in the music industry. Now, what this show is kind of saying is AI has gotten to the point where it has solved music. At least some people have access to AI that has solved music in a way that you can solve, you know, checkers or tic-tac-toe or kind of chess. Like we're working on that one. But anyway, so you can kind of create perfect specific songs for certain scenarios. And we are introduced to this idol who is, or I don't know if she's like straight up an idol, but she's being introduced to this guy who is the sole person in his like assumably multi-billion-dollar company. Everything else is AI. And he has made virtual idols, and he has decided to work with an actual person and, you know, do a collaboration of sorts. And some of the show is vested in showing how he has to work with someone who is, you know, a physical body person. It has their limitations. Everything's not tweakable like a program. And it's really interesting because at times we haven't seen this character too much, but like he is the very embodiment of automation. Like, you know, at a time, like the character even asked him, like, are you human or are your emotions like as robotic as the stuff that you work with? And he gets this like crazy look in his eye, and he's like, you know, I get that a lot, but he's like happy about it. And in the meantime, we then follow the story of Carol and Tuesday, who come together. They just kind of met on the street, and you know, one plays piano, one carries around a guitar. And what we have to go off of for that little bit that's at the beginning of every episode is they're going to go on to do something great, despite being two flesh and blood people who don't have access to AIs doing everything for them. So one of the interesting things here is whenever the two characters, huh? What?
I thought I heard something too.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
I will say that like what you described of the premise so far kind of reminds me of Macross Plus, which is actually something that Shinichiro Watanabe.
I was gonna more liken it a bit to like almost Megalobox, like was the vibe I initially got, like with the high futuristic thing in boxing. But anyway,
but I think where like what the Macross Plus had like a virtual idol that was like poised to take over the real idol or something, and at the same time,
Well,
it's about like the AI pilots are going to supersede the real pilots, you know, and that's
well,
kind of the premise and the conflict
I got
of Macross Plus.
I'm still kind of getting a little bit to where I have a newfound issue with this series that I initially liked. Episodes 1, 2, and 3 I liked, but anyway, still going into it just a little bit. This show is purely in Japanese, but whenever the two go to sing, it transitions to English. The songs that they sing are completely in English. And one of the issues that I've had was how they come up with the lyrics, because the first song that they convey when they're playing kind of on a piano, it was coming together in the prior episode, and we heard a small bit of it being played in the concert hall. The lyrics, while great, I don't know who they got to sing it. I don't know if they're a native English speaker. I don't know if it's someone who could just speak Japanese really well. I couldn't really look in the comments to look into who's doing it. I see credits to a lot of different musical entities in the credits of this show, but the lyrics aren't coherent. Like, they make sense. It's sung very well. You can clearly hear what they're saying. There's not really a sense of English about it. But if you compare it to an actual like English song, a song kind of covers a topic and you clearly get an idea of what's being sung about. When I hear one of these, it just seems kind of like a mess. Like almost like back when that Gotcha Man Crowds thing came.
I knew you were going to talk about Gotcha Man Crowds.
And I just don't know. I'm like, well, hey, if anyone's like doing AI design, it seems like these characters' lyrics, because it really reminds me of that scripting program that someone like fed all of like Star Trek into, and then they would ask it to make like sci-fi scripts, and it would make kind of interesting sounding stuff, but it was still a little bit of a jumbled mess.
Yeah.
I don't know what the future songs are going to be like, because there was like the only other song that they actually sung that wasn't the ending credit song was like one that they started up when they were doing laundry, which made more sense than the first song that they sung. But like I said, I liked episodes 1, 2, and 3, and then I'm just going to talk about 4 because it's kind of the outlier in my opinion. So episode 4 hit. Let me just cover one more topic before I go into that. They're wanting to pursue a career in music. So instantly there was like a guy who's been in the down in the dumps, so to speak. He's obviously has a career, like he had a career in music. He was part of a band. He's now kind of like not like a publisher, but like he claims himself to be a manager, but he has some ties to the music industry, and he by far makes the most comments to like bands. Like, okay, the one CEO of the company brought up Daft Punk, but he even said, I'm going to be your guys' managers. Even like the Beatles needed whoever was their managers to get going. And the girls are like, wait, what? The Beatles? And the bartender's even like, yeah, they're of the wrong generation. So like it's doing pop culture actual bands like crazy, even to the point where I'm not following some of them because I don't know that much history of some of the bands. But he kind of meets these girls and he says, I'm going to, help you guys, get famous, and I'm going to be your manager and you're going to be famous. And, I'm like, okay, I see where this is going. So they kind of hit the first problem of how do I put your name out there? And he was really old school. He's from Earth. So he's not using the newfangled power of the internet very efficiently. And he needs a lot of advice from people who are a lot more used to social media to help these girls get popular. And their idea was in episode 4 to, well, first they wanted to go to a DJ, and the DJ thing was kind of funny because the DJ even goes like, the girls go and they want to pitch to him, like, what their song was and if he was interested to do anything. And he even stops them right in their tracks going, whoa, AI designs my music. I do this for a profession. I don't think anything I don't want to hurt your feelings, but anything you do is probably not perfection, and I don't want to hurt them, so I don't even want to hear it. And it's like, that kind of makes me question, like, so you're a DJ who has access to AI, that if you gave that AI full reign to any other person, they're the famous DJ. Like what is going on with the society? And that's when episode 4 comes along and really throws a monkey wrench into anything, because it almost seems like the Space Dandy episode. There's literally, they need to make a music video. And they don't have a lot of resources. So how do you go about making a music video? Anyone could probably like do it in their garage good enough, but they find this dirt cheap robot that can do it all on basically eBay. So they, buy this robot. It comes to their place. They pitch it everything. They reference all sorts of famous music videos. It's kind of a funny seeing and just famous like tropey things. And the robot takes it all and says, okay, I can do it for you, but I need these materials from you guys to make this music video. And he just produces this list of like, 120 dancers, like Ferrari-esque car. And it's just crazy. And they're like, okay, we'll work on this. So they actually go and they get most of the list done, which was really funny. But in this time, we see the character of this AI robot as kind of like a slacker, someone who's taking advantage of the people despite being AI. And that was totally the plot of the episode. Like, literally, there was a news article at the end of the day that said, there is an AI robot scam where you watch out for this thing because it's, and I'm like, how do you have an AI robot that scams? And I swear there was almost like it was watching YouTube at one point, and I swear there was like that character, that robot from Space Dandy was referenced in that thing. That's why I specifically said Space Dandy. But it kind of muddied the direction that I saw this show going in. While I had fun enough watching the episode, it's like, am I going to see more dysfunction come out, or are you not as serious of a show as I thought you would be? There's a lot of questions that I'm asking myself watching this thing, and that's what I'm enjoying the most. I also do enjoy listening to the songs, although at this time I don't think that they make like cohesive sense. But hey, I don't know if you wanted to add anything in at this point, Vincent.
Okay. I mean, I get most of the point brought up by Nick. Although I think I think it bothers him in a way. I think he's been more critical about this singer discrepancy between the singer and the voice actor. Because if you think about it, plenty of the times it's been the same. I mean, I could just start it off with like a Macross Frontier, where the singer and the voice actor are pretty different. And as for the question that you brought it up about whether are these singers native English speaker, or is that are they really?
Well, that wasn't so important. It's just it was weird to be watching an episode that was completely in Japanese and then be hit with English music, like pure English music. I'm like, now I don't find that bad. I'm not personally complaining. It's just like, whoa.
I mean, given that holds all the themes and all the throwaways, all the inserts, things are all English. I mean, if you look at all the records, was Bruce Springsteen's.
Yeah, as like the eye catches are like famous records. Yeah.
So I mean, to me, it's like having these two singing in English. I guess it kind of makes sense in a weird way. I think as for the singers themselves, one who sings the carol part is actually American, lives in Atlanta, and the one who sings the Tuesday part is actually half American, half Japanese, born in Japan. So I guess that explains why they can ably sing English. As for the other parts that you mentioned about, you brought up the point about how DJ Ortega was talking about in episode 3 how much money he spent to have this AI program system that produced music for him, that he takes everything so seriously. I think that's going to be the upcoming theme, along with Mr. Tao and Angela, as to what makes the musician. Is that their innate talent and the effort? Is that something that's been brought up by the machine? I think machine versus human is gonna come to play.
That's kind of why I got a really big Megalobox vibe from it. The artificially synthesized wrestler. Well, not really. He put effort into it, but he also had like super high tech helping him versus pure natural effort talent. But I think that's where I just had a little tiny dissonance, and it was like whenever they sing, like when they sung the one show, it seems like they have an artificial amount of intrigue. Like, I like the music. I've listened to it a few times. I went back to watch it a few times, but um, it's like I just don't see it being the greatest thing ever, and I think the anime is trying to put that spin on
Hmm.
like we're gonna have a great song, sure, but it just feels like the hype for the songs are gonna be artificial because I just don't see them as Anyway,
And I think that's also what brought that reminds me of the point that was brought up by Sakuga Blog. I think he interviewed about this series and especially Shinichiro Watanabe because since a lot of his series tends to linger around with the musics and up until this point he never directly tackled about the series about the singers per se. And I think he did point out about that he didn't have much confidence in portraying the music as in itself. And I think this might be his best effort, but also I think it would be unrealistic to think that music's written up for uh, TV anime can be considered to be the greatest thing since it's less.
yeah, no, I was just saying my 2 cents on that. Like
Hmm.
I didn't want them to actually like depict the next one hit wonder in the anime. It's just, but I still had to say what I felt about it, kind of a thing.
And as for the episode 4 about the AI gone bad and this crazy video music making episode, I like to think this is sort of like a one-off filler episode that kind of have
Hope.
thrown in between. I
I
hope,
hope.
yeah, but I'll be worried if this carries on to the next episode as well. So, yeah, I agree with you on that.
Like I liked 1, 2, and 3, and then 4 hit, and I'm like, uh-oh.
But yeah, it's one of those. I was kind of hoping that Netflix would be a little easy on us and just release an episode by episode, of course, but they have to hold everything until probably what episode 12, and they'll batch release when everybody else has seen it one way or another. I am not really. I can't really say that's a good ways to go about it for anime viewers. I mean, everything else it works works the way they want it to. Binge watching everything, but I don't know if anime really works that way, especially if people has a ways to watch it around them.
The only thing that bothers me about this show is how different. Like I think I told you guys earlier, how different the voices in the song and the voice actors are. And some shows just it doesn't work. And to me, this one, I don't know if I just have to keep on watching and see if it um, gets better. But like it reminds me of a lot of this old show called Full Moon Sagashite, where you have this like 12-year-old girl singing, and her voice is so childish, but when she sings like this mature woman. So it's just so off, and that's kind of how I felt when I was listening to their song
Well,
versus how the voices
But they
were.
don't sound very old though when they sing.
No, I'm
I
just saying
think their
voices
voice is
don't quite
closer
match.
to their
Like,
voice actor than that. But my problem was if you have someone who knows full English, like how did these lyrics happen? Like that's more my problem. They sound great. Like the lyrics as they're sung, they sound awesome. But as like someone who's trying to sing a song in English, like how do you go on to sing that thing?
well,
Like
you see what you're paid to do, not what you.
I understand. I understand. But how do you
But
like gotcha man crowds it like that?
so I just have one quick question here before we end the show. Albert, was there any titles that you wanted to talk about? Because I don't know if we got any.
No, I don't have any specific titles.
All right.
I do kind of want to talk about the Koto one.
Well, we'll save that for the end of the season because
No,
no one cares about the Kota.
Ooh.
not even. I don't care about the. I actually thought I'd like it better. Well, I like the show. I just thought I'd like the Koto more than I did.
So that'll be it for today. Thank you for watching. This was 2019 spring lineup with the OreAni group. Thank you, Sean and Albert, for joining us. Vincent, Nick for being there at the beginning. And I hope to see everyone at the end of the season. Now, I will be hosting some Discord chats on Saturday, I think, as long as I don't have overtime. It's going to be around the same time, so if you just have free time, I'm just going to hang in there for a few hours every day just to, just if you want to talk about anime, you can. And it also gives me some time to work on some other projects. So we'll have that. I'll have that up. And other than that, I think I can't remember. You can check the Discord for the upcoming movies that are coming. Like I said, I think there's one in the middle of this month that's coming, and we'll post more as it comes out or information comes out. Other than that, anyone else have any goodbyes to say?
Goodbyes. What's going on?
Goodbye, Ski. I finished you a long time ago.
All right, thank you. Bye bye or bye bye.
Bye bye.